So we'll bring this July 13th, 2020 meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order. Please note this is a remote meeting using Zoom technology due to the state of emergency initiated March 12th by Governor Baker in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency. This meeting will be recorded for both audio and video. Do you need to start something? Oh, there you go. And I think it may even be out there on Facebook somewhere as well. During the hearings, applicants will be given the ability to assume remote control of the hearings, or we can pull up the plans for them, whichever they prefer. Also, please note that on April 6th, the commission delegated signature authority to Stefan Cotino, the chair, and/or Andrea Langhauser, our environmental planner, assisting planning director, for all decisions issued during the duration of the emergency. So now that that is out of the way, we can start with 25 Ridgewood Road.
I just brought the, you had, Dana is, there he is.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hi, Dana.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So I can bring up the plans, or you can bring them up, whichever you prefer.
Whichever is easier for you guys. You might have them a little bit easier at your fingertips, or
I do.
I've never shared before, so it might be a little sloppy.
Andrea, can you make me co-host or give me?
My apologies, of course. We make him co-host, then I can see people.
Okay, so now.
While Rory's doing that, I should tell the rest of the board that the abutter notifications have been posted online.
So this is, it's on one page of the applicable thing, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to do here, Dana, and then we can talk about the particulars of the wetland implications.
Sure, absolutely. Just for formalities, my name is Dana Altabello. I'm with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. This RDA is for the proposed installation of a new gas service at 25 Ridgewood Road, which is shown on the screen currently. In total, approximately 100 linear feet of new pipe will be provided for a new service connection to the existing residence. All work will be done within existing paved roadways along their shoulders or within maintained lawn areas. As you can see, the majority of the work will take place within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, and then also within a lawn area to the rear of the existing, or to the front of the dwelling, which is previously maintained, which is also within the 100-foot buffer zone to a potential vernal pool, which is also flagged in blue to the rear of the property. The delineation of the potential vernal pool and the bordering vegetated wetlands was performed by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration in May of 2020. The service installation will be done using the open trench method. This involves the contractor only opening the length of trench that can be installed and backfilled in one day. No stockpiles or open trench will be left overnight, and erosion controls will be installed as shown in orange there along the limit of work in the front left portion of the yard. No work will be done during rain events, and since the pipe will be below grade, there'll be no permanent alteration to the existing elevation or landscape in front of the yard. Since the work will be done during dry weather within paved roadways or along their shoulders, and with erosion controls installed at the limit of work as shown in trenches backfilled at the end of each workday, there should be minimal to no impacts to the wetland resource areas during construction. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So
If I may, Rory, can you please push up? Can you please push up your screen a bit so we can see up? There you go. So just so we can see the edge of the green line is the BVW, and the blue line is the potential vernal pool, mean high water just below it.
So just as a point of clarification, is the potential vernal pool, is that the mean high water? I'm sorry, I think you just said this. Is that the mean high water or the 100-foot?
It is the, Brad flagged the water line
Okay,
from which we would then take 100 feet or edge of disturbed area, whichever edge of pre-84, 2004 disturbed area.
Yep.
So on this project site, you can see lawn area very clearly on the top of the picture. And then there's also some lawn underneath the tree cover closer to this project trench area.
okay. So I was actually out at the site on Saturday. It's a very level site. Where they do have the erosion control, it does slope off just a tiny, tiny bit towards the woods. But I think with the erosion control and the method they're going to do here is, you know, dig and fill. So, I mean, I think I don't have any questions here.
Same, looks pretty clear cut to me. Well, I'm happy with it.
Looks pretty straightforward to me as well.
Great. Okay, so do we have any public comment on 25 Ridgewood?
Anybody want to raise their hand? Or type
not
in a
seeing it.
question? None of them. Okay.
I'm not seeing anything, so I will make a motion to, oh, actually, Dane, I assume you want us to close and proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to close and issue permit for work in order of conditions for 25 Ridgewood Road. Just looking at the staff report to make sure.
I'm going to correct you, Rory, and say negative determination.
Ah, yes, thank you. So make a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability for 25 Ridgewood Road.
As proposed.
As proposed.
Thomas, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next up is 65 Rockland Street.
I'm promoting Peter Lyons. You have two different devices, so I'm promoting both of you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hmm.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back, Peter.
What are we doing here? So you can see me. Do you need me to share my screen? Is that what we want to do? Or you already have it up? We can run with that.
There he is.
It's up to you. I've got it up, so.
Okay, I see it on my screen, so let's go with that. So what we have tonight, we're here with a notice of intent for a upgrade of a residential septic repair. Quick overview of the property. It's on the corner of Allen Road and Rockland Street. The existing septic system is located just to the northwest of the proposed tanks. Yep, an existing lawn. What we're looking to do is replace the existing septic tank with a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber. And then we'll be pumping it up to the northeast corner of the yard to a raised mound, about 20 feet by 33 feet, I think it says. Couple things here. We're contending with high groundwater. We do have wetlands in the back, located as flags 1 through 12. The proposed system, we are 51 feet to the tanks at the closest point and 56 feet to the closest corner of the leaching area. Most of the work is to be done in existing lawn. However, due to the placement of the system, we will be taking down some trees near the leaching area. Again, that's going to be raised up a couple of feet and brought to a loam and grass seeded condition after the project. To protect the resource area, we've proposed a 160-foot strip of erosion control wrapping around the project and ending at the deck. That will contain any migrating materials, prevent it from getting to the resource area. We've also got a couple notes for proposed dewatering areas on our test pit next to the driveway. We show detail for that on the plan. We've also shown, I believe there's a total of 6 conservation posts around the existing tree line in the backyard mostly. We also have notes in our standard details for that listed on the plan. Pretty straightforward septic repair here. Everything is outside of the 50-foot buffer. That's all I got for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So I think that there's a note here about 2 sheds that are actually in the wetlands. So the so the homeowner knows that those need to get relocated.
I believe they do, but we'll make sure it happens. Yep.
Okay.
Let me remind the commission that or not remind, but let you know for the first time that the butter notifications have been posted to the online application for all of them tonight.
Okay. Does any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay. Seeing none.
Nope.
Do any of the any public comment?
Raise your hand or type in a question. No. Okay.
Can we give you a second?
I'm going to take that second to, while you're watching the list, to also note that in the wetland biologist report, she made a comment that the area of wetland coincide very closely with the lawn, and you can see that here in flags 2 through 5, 6. So I'm recommending a condition that any future application shall confirm the wetland boundary by evaluating the soils.
Okay. Okay. Seeing no comments, do you want to close, Peter?
Yes, please.
Let's see if I can get this one right, John. I'm going to make a motion to close and issue a permit for work and order conditions for 65 Rockland Street, noting that the 2 existing sheds need to be moved or removed within let's say a 3-month time period. And if they're going to move them, we need them 25 feet away from the wetland boundaries. And any future application will confirm the wetland boundary by evaluating the soils, and also perpetual condition of no dumping in wetlands in the future, of course.
Alrighty.
Spady, a second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay. We're done with 65 Rockland. So I think the next one is you, Peter, as well. So 79 Short Street.
That is me as well. Yep. Perfect.
Are you using the most current plan?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
It's got the fence on it.
Yep. Okay, again, for the record, I'm Peter Lyons with Collins Engineering Group, representing the homeowner at 79 Short Street. Another notice of intent for a residential septic repair.
Can you just hang on just 1 second for me, Peter?
Yep.
Tish has a question. Do you know what that is? Tish, do you have a question? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I can't unmute her.
Oh, there you go, Tish. Yep.
Type your question, please, Tish, or text me.
Okay,
Here it is. Who seconded the motion?
Spadia. I'll make that clear going forward, Tish, for you.
Thank you.
Yep, gotcha. Sorry about that, Peter. We'll get back to you now.
It's all good, no problem. Get this out of my way. So again, we are here tonight, a notice of intent for a residential septic repair, a currently failed system. The back of the property, the site slopes down from Short Street to a wetland in the rear of the property, shown as flags 1 through 12. The existing system is a combination of 2 lines that run to an existing leaching pit, shown adjacent to wetland flag 11. Our proposal is to grab the existing plumbing, provide a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment septic tank to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and then pump it to the side yard to a 17 by 37 leaching bed. With this one, obviously, we're kind of contending with the lot lines as well as the house setbacks, but most of all, staying away from the resource area. So as proposed, our tanks are located inside the 50-foot buffer. Based on the existing plumbing and the topography, we had to locate the tanks behind the house. So maintaining the minimum 10-foot separation to the foundation, we're kind of sandwiched, and this is where the tanks have to go. It's kind of the only place they can go. The field, we were able to push a little bit further away from the resource area into the yard. That also helps us out with the grading of the system. There won't be any change in grade over the tanks or the leaching area. All disturbed areas are existing lawn. They're going to be going back to lawn afterwards. So how it's going to look after the project is exactly how you see it today. With the exception of a new, I believe it's a stockade fence along the western lot line. I believe that's already in place as of last week. It was under construction. So the installation of that fence is also included in the application. To protect the resource area, we've provided erosion control around the entire project, paralleling the lot lines and going around the entire rear of the house. We have our standard details for that, as well as our conservation post locations, dewatering pit locations and details shown on the plan. And what else? And I guess that's about it. 270 feet of erosion control around the project. So the tanks are as close as 28 feet to flag 11, and the field is 55 feet off flag 1, essentially. So that's what I got. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And just to finish it off, a soil stockpile area, pretty much the only spot on site where we're just about out of the 100-foot buffer zone. So that is all.
So just as a follow-up to the comment about the fence, so the fence posts are in, at least as of Saturday afternoon. The fence posts were in. They were hand dug, and they were very well kept. So really, I'm not all concerned at all about the fence going in. So just as a comment about the fence being in, it actually isn't in yet. So
okay. Yeah. I also, to that note, it is shown very close to the property line. I personally was on site to stake out the lot line as well as the erosion control and the septic. So there should be no question, for the installer of the fence or the system where everything's going. So it's all pretty straightforwardly laid out, including the erosion control.
Great. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
That's a perfect setup for me. I'm good with that.
Yeah, this looks good to me too.
Any public comment for 79 Short Street? Let's give everybody a second. Raise your hand or send in a question.
Okay.
So seeing none, Peter, would you like to close?
Yes, please.
So I'd like to make a motion to close and issue a permit for work and order conditions for 79 Short Street, noting that the no dumping in wetlands is a perpetual condition.
Thomas, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Very good, Peter.
All right. And while I get you, I know we have 3 certificate of compliances later in the evening. I know one we are requesting a continuance. Do I need to stick around for Kevin's Way or Summer Street, or are those pretty straightforward?
I don't expect you to have any issues with those.
Okay, Andrea, any comments or concerns?
No, that'd be fine. I appreciate you continuing 9 Prospect.
Okay. All right. If you're all set, I'm going to sign off then.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks,
you all.
Peter.
Yep. Thanks. See you next time.
Have a good one.
Okay, so we are up to 7 Kenbane Drive.
And that is Mr. Phone. I'm going to promote you to panelist. I guess I can't because you're on your phone. Okay. Mike Koska is our engineer, and he's on phone line. Mike? There you go.
Yes,
Hi.
speaking.
And Mr. Dowling is has a question. He has Mr. Dowling has a hand up. How can I help? How can I help you?
Hello.
Okay, Andrea, I'm for 670 Washington Street, the next one, Mike Koska.
Thank you.
So I think that
Hello. Can you hear me, Ann? Oh, there we are.
Here you are. Are you here for 670?
No, I'm here for 7 Kenbane.
Okay, hang tough. We'll bring.
no, that's what we're doing now. We're doing 7 Kenbane.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a bunch of plans already loaded here for you. What's your first name again? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, my name is Ben Dowling. I'm an attorney. I represent the Camus O'Toole Family Trust.
Great.
And yeah, we're here on a notice of intent for 7 Kenbane to bring the property into compliance with a notice of intent from 2004.
So just as give the commission a little bit of a perspective here, the project was originally from 2004, and there was a permit issued, an order of conditions. There was a restoration plan in place, and I don't think they ever closed out the permit, and then they've gone to issue a certificate of compliance, realize they were out of compliance, and so they've come to us to try and get back in compliance with a notice of intent to how to do that. So that's why they are here today, knowing that they're out of compliance on a couple of things, and we will talk about what those things are and how we can get them back in compliance. So, so Ben, why don't you tell me what you want to show, what you want me to have up on the screen? It's up to you. I have the original as-built from 2004, and I have the original replication plan, and I also have the proposed. Well, there's there's a plan that's been issued now with the current conditions. So
Great, thank you. That was a very good, concise summary of why I'm here. I think maybe we can focus on the as-built that you have up now.
Sure.
There are, in terms of the areas that are out of compliance, that there are some features on the plan that if you zoom in a little bit, maybe a little bit more, there's a shed and a gazebo that are both on the resource area side of the 50-foot wetland buffer. And yeah, you're right on where the gazebo is. The shed is to the north. Keep going a little bit there. Yep, there's the shed. There's a water garden to the left of the shed, or to the there's the water garden, and there's also a piece of the driveway that is, yep, there, and then there's also lawn. Okay, and so the gazebo has been removed at this time.
As in, wow.
And that's that's my understanding. The plan would be to move the shed, obviously outside of the 50-foot buffer. The proposal would be to make sure that the original restoration plan, that what is happening on the ground is consistent with the original restoration plan, and that original restoration plan focused on an area south. I don't think is the plan oriented north south. I'm not sure. It's down. It's down in the other direction. The original restoration plan was keep going. It's all the way towards the bottom at there. It's right where there's a lawn. It's right where that's where the original restoration plan focused. That's where the area of the original restoration. So we would make sure that area complies with the original restoration plan. And then in terms of the lawn, the water garden. Sorry, the proposal would be to abandon the water garden. And we're open to guidance from the Conservation Commission on this, but abandoning the water garden seems like it could be maybe the best thing to be done here. I'm not. Again, we're open to your input on that. And with regard to the lawn, we would propose to have the area behind the 50-foot revert to native vegetation and plantings. The preference would be to allow it to revert, but if there were a more affirmative step that you would like us to take, we're open to that as well. So that's broadly what we're coming to you with. There's a lot there. My understanding is that the DEP has not issued a file number for this file yet. So, and my understanding is that you would not be in a position to vote on this tonight. And so, if we can get on the same page tonight, what I would propose doing between now and the next meeting, when hopefully there's a number and you would be in a position to vote on a new order of conditions, we will put something in writing, put this plan that we're going to develop together in writing, so that you could vote on it at that time.
So I think the one other issue at play here is the driveway, this driveway loop that wasn't on the original plan. So I know we talked about this one portion of the driveway being inside the 50, but this entire loop wasn't on the original plan that was approved. So this this entire loop is out of compliance.
Yep.
So, so that's a bit of a challenge for us. See, here's the original plan. And so you can see here that the driveway that was approved was
The
just,
original plan hasn't come up yet, Rory.
hang on. It says it's paused for some reason. Hang on. Okay. There we go.
There you go.
Thank you. So this is the original driveway that was approved. There's no loop that's going around to the front door. So, so I mean, that's a bit of a challenge.
And also note on this plan that this siltation fence line is relatively close to the 100-foot stream, 100 feet from the stream. If we go, if you were to look to the north of, if you were to push your plan a little bit so we could see the north, you'd see that there used to be cartways and stuff down there. I bring that to your attention because there's two different conditions in the 2004 decision that specifically notified the applicant landowner that there's to be no disturbance beyond the limit of work without further applications.
Right. So I think that, you know, that's part of the challenge here is that a significant portion of the area outside the limit of work has been converted to lawn. The notice of intent here, as proposed tonight, is to return it to lawn that's up to the 50-foot buffer when the original condition was to not have it extend beyond the actual erosion control at the time, which is closer to the 100-foot buffer. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is you know, you talked about the water garden and the shed being moved, and but also this driveway. So, is there any input from the commission on what kind of direction we might want to give Mr. Dowling and his client?
I mean, I have some other concerns that haven't been discussed yet. Is that it looks like part of the driveway is currently on the septic system.
It isn't. It looks like it, but I checked with.
Oh.
No, the driveway, the access to the septic system is through a manhole cover on the driveway.
Okay.
My mistake.
Does that meet Title V?
There, we have approved septic leaching facilities under pavement.
Okay.
Hopefully, usually they're designed that way. So I can bring your question to the Board of Health to see if they have an as-built recognizing the pavement on it.
Okay.
And if they have any questions, I'll bring it to the attorney.
Okay.
Good catch there. So.
I mean, if I may,
yeah.
Would I mean, and this is absolutely a you know, a mea culpa situation, and I can see the look of consternation on your faces, perhaps. I wonder if, you know, I mean, as you point out, there's this sort of substantial driveway structure that does not appear on the original plan. And I wonder, and I'm talking out loud as I say this, but I wonder if, you know, if removing that in some way, you know, would that further the goal of protecting the resource? I'm talking out loud when I say that. I'm not.
Oh, I mean,
Would leaving it as is be less intrusive than going in there and picking it up.
That's kind of how I was feeling. I feel like I'm gonna leave it as is instead of tearing it all up and just disturbing it. But I don't know, maybe John or Rory can speak differently on that.
John, thoughts?
I mean, he's filing a notice of intent right now, right? So, I mean, he could propose that driveway as part of this project, you know, and after action, you know, result that we're trying to give him a certificate of compliance. You know, more impervious area, obviously it has negative impacts on the buffers and resource areas. And that's kind of, you know, obviously back in 2004, it was approved for a certain amount of, you know, work in a certain area within the buffer zone. And they did a little bit more work. I think, you know, maybe a little bit more mitigation to, you know, account for, you know, the additional impervious area.
It's a big loop. It's
Yeah.
a big green space in the middle of that driveway.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot.
That's huge.
I think certainly in order to, if we were to include the driveway in the notice of intent, I think we'd have to know what the increase in impervious proposed. I know it's there already, but proposed in the notice of intent would be, so that we can understand that. I think that as John's proposing, in order to offset that, there may be some additional restoration plantings that are going to be required beyond doing the original restoration planting in the southern side of the property, plus the return of the lawn that's inside the 50-foot to natural state. There may be additional work that's meant to be done here. I mean, I think you understand that from our standpoint is we could sit here and say, let's go back to the 2004 decision, and that's what we're going to abide by. And I think we're appreciating the fact that you're coming to us to try and make this correct, but I think we need to find some middle ground here that protects these wetlands that we originally attempted to in 2004. You know, because otherwise we're talking about a lot of restoration and ripping up that driveway, which certainly would be well within our purview to do. So I think in order for us to consider this, I think that there has to be some offset to the driveway and the tremendous amount of impervious surface that's been created there. I think also, to be honest, the septic system, we're going to have to get an answer on whether or not that septic system is actually designed to have a pavement above it and take the load of vehicles going over it. So,
Can we go back to the as-built conditions? There's a few areas where lawn comes close to you can see the red line, the lighter red line is the 50-foot. And then there are a few sections where the lawn area comes really close to our tree line is that wiggly line. And there's an area where you're well in. And he's getting closer now where the gazebo is well in the 50. And then down on Kenbane Drive, you got plenty of lawn. Plenty of lawn. So those are I just wanted to point out and give you a sense of the visual of where you might do restoration planting.
So would the idea would be to do more restoration planting, basically. I mean, I'm asking, I guess, the question here. The idea would be to do more restoration planting in those areas, sort of to offset the driveway impact, basically. Is that?
I certainly think that, if this was to be proposed today, and I'm not talking about the little sliver that's within the 50, but let's just say if this driveway was proposed today, we'd probably ask you to make it be a pervious surface, or in fact, I would almost think that we'd probably say it has to be a pervious surface. But let's just say if it was an impervious surface, you would have to offset that somewhere else on the property with some sort of restoration. So if you want to craft your notice of intent to come to that presentation of it, that's something that would be more likely to be considered than simply leaving the driveway as is, without any offset to it.
And would the restoration planting that you would want to see be sort of the area of the restoration planting would be the same as the area of the pervious portion of the driveway? Would that be the way to approach that?
Andrea, what do we normally do in these circumstances?
Well, the jurisdiction extends up to the 100-foot line, which is the very large, the very bright, thicker line here. So this section of pavement is within jurisdiction.
Right.
And so,
so just, Ben, what she's saying is that the pavement from the circle all the way up to right where it starts to curve, that's the amount of area that you have to offset.
I understand. Okay. Thank you.
I know that I sent my staff report late, so this project site is not in an ACEC, but the entire site is priority mapped wildlife habitat, and the flood zone extends in the wetland areas. While this section of the property it's actually a 15.8 acre residential property, and the wetlands to the north and to the east on the property are extensive. So I make that point because I don't know what the rare wildlife are, but the buffer zone might have some value for normally when they did the 2017 revision, they eliminated all lawn area, and in this case they didn't.
So are we looking for a 1-to-1, a 2-to-1 replication here? 2-to-1? Any thoughts from anybody? 2-to-1?
I mean, I think it's going to be important to see how much room they have to work with and see the contiguous, restoration potential areas along the driveway, and see how much you can build on the existing one that they were proposing, to see what the size of that was, and then kind of see how much room you have to work with, and see it, because, it'd be nice to have one large restoration area, rather than trying to split them up in two.
Right.
So on the existing plan, the restoration area is identified between flags 21 through 25. So it doesn't have an area, but perhaps in the new, in a revised proposal, attorney, you can give us the aerial extent of the LEC proposal and then add to that.
Okay. Now, I was just listening to Mr. Thomas's comment, and I'm wondering, again, I'm talking out loud, should the plan be to have the restoration area be contiguous with the old restoration area, or maybe, well,
we find that they're more successful when you have them all together in a group, rather than try to sporadically put them all in tiny little spots along the property. And it's easier to manage them at the same time.
So basic, maybe the plan can be to extend that one.
Yeah, and if it allows it, you might have to do two here. I'm just saying, if you have the availability or space to do one you know, larger system off the original one, then that's what I would suggest doing.
Mhm. Okay.
The area that the LEC plan is in is where the lawn is closest to the wetland line.
You know, and I actually have not been out to this site, so I don't know if there's any potential invasive species on the property or any sort of, you know,
There's gotta be.
things that could potentially be incorporated into a mitigation plan as well. You know, the last thing we want to do for a project like this is remove trees. So, you know, I see that, you know, it looks like the wetlands are interior of the edge of woodlands. So, you know, it's going to have to, you know, you're probably going to have to look at, you know, what sort of species could you put in the understory in the woodlands, and then also what can you extend within the existing lawn.
Since the lawn area has, since the restoration area has been cleared out, and you know, it's been mowed, whether, as Mr. Attorney Downey said that, you know, maybe the wildlife ate it at first. It's now all lawn, and when the decision in 2004, this area down here was disturbed, and that's why they put the restoration planting in. Now, if you do go out and take a look at the site, you may find this is the right spot, or maybe it's the spot to the north because of the extensive wetland area. Which one is, you know, which one is closer? Would the commission be open to having a wetland professional or one of our better landscape professionals take a look at the site and give a proposal for where the area should be?
I think that's a great idea.
I'm open to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the applicant needs to put forth probably a pretty good plan here to have that driveway be something that we would permit. And so that's you can take that for what it's worth and determine what you want to do. I think the better the plan is you put before us, is more likely that we would permit it. Okay.
Understood. So, just so procedurally, will you table this, or will you
Yeah, so
hold it?
we'll continue this, and you know, we'll leave it up to you. I mean, we can continue it tonight to our next meeting, which is 2 weeks off. Currently, although we may move that to be 3 weeks off, that may not be enough time for you to get out there. We could move it to the meeting after that, if that helps you. You tell us what the time frame is you think you and your client need, and we can continue it to that. We tend not to sort of like try and continue and just perpetually continue it, but we want to get a good sense of when you can get it, so it's not just sitting on the agenda. But yeah, I mean, we will, obviously we can't vote on it tonight anyway, and we could vote as, you know, missing information, but that's not how we operate. So we would continue this for you to either the next meeting, which is either the 27th or the 3rd of August, or the 10th or the 24th of August. I'll leave it up to you. I know there's the house is up for sale at this point, so you know, I know that there is some time constraint on this.
That's of no concern to the commission.
That's okay.
So, okay, so I'm not sure what the time, yeah, it would be, the flexibility is helpful and appreciated. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to put together the plan, but so we will grab your attention to get back on the agenda when that plan has been submitted, so that we can have have
so
it.
Why don't we do it tonight? Why don't we'll continue it to our next meeting, and you just reach out to Andrea and speak about if you're ready to present the next meeting or not. And obviously we'll need some time. We can't get the plans the day of the meeting, so we'll need time to review that. But usually we want them the Wednesday before. So So just, we'll continue to the next meeting, which may be this 27th, or it's currently scheduled for the 27th. If you need to push it off again, we'll push it off again.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Do we have any public comment for 7 Kenbane?
Raise your hand or type in a question.
Okay, so seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to continue 7 Kenbane to our next meeting, July 27th.
Spady, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the next up is 670 Washington. And I think that's this one here. You're 67 Washington, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my name is Michael Koska.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Chairman. If you want to present at this point.
Sure, go ahead. We actually have your plan up on the screen if you want to give us some sense.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Michael Koska. I'm a registered civil engineer and land surveyor in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, here representing Mr. Richard Crystal and Frank Tanasso, who form trustees of the Protea Realty Trust at 670 Washington Street in the town of Easton. Their site is located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Depot Street and Washington Street, which is Route 138. The multi-use building consists of a floral shop and a 2-bedroom apartment on the second floor. The lower level of the building is used to prepare the flower arrangements and storage of the flowers in coolers. The second story is the greeting area of clients and display area for the different arrangements that they put together. And then on top of that is the 2-bedroom apartment. We were asked to do a perk test in the presence of the Board of Health. Mr. Mark Taylor was officiating at the site. We did test pit 1 and 2. We found that there was a gas line near test pit 1. And so we moved right into the front parking lot. And what the plan consists of is a 2,000-gallon multi-compartmental tank into a 1,000-gallon pump chamber. From there, it would be forced to the front parking lot through a 2-inch force main. The septic system in the front is dimensions 15 by 44.4 with the 5-foot remove and replace all around, where we found concrete, pipes, rebar, wires, you name it, we found it. And it broke through where I did a perk test from elevation 54 to 72. And so we're removing that material, the dimensions of the system plus 5 feet all around as per the state code. Taking care to miss that gas line on the right-hand side and taking care not to infringe on the property to the north or left-hand side as we're looking at the building. A couple questions came up in the review of Andrea, and one of the items was there is no concrete washout pit or dewatering pit. That one, if in that lower area with the two, with the tank and the pump chamber are, a pit could be easily placed near the retaining wall or in the corner where the erosion control comes together or closer to the building. There is ample room, and I don't think that we would need a dewater here, but you know, you never know after a rain or so forth where the water table might rise. One thing I'd like to add is the contour of 95 is pretty much at the base of the stairs, that there's a deck on the back and the stairs go down to the lower level. Beyond that, it's contour 94 approximately at the edge of the asphalt. On the detail of the plan where it says H20 capable pump chamber, the finish grade is 94.5. And if you interpolate between the 95 and 94, it's about halfway with the pump chamber and the septic tank. Therefore, what grade is there now? There will be no additional filling. And the reason why I state that, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, is I put this plan on an assumed datum. And one of the comments that Andrea made was that it shows in a flood zone here. One of the, if you look at the flood zone map, it has at the bottom in the middle, 1 inch equals 6,000 inches. If you divide 6,000 by 12, it equates to a scale of 1 inch equal 500 feet. It's about a 1/4 inch between the edge of Washington Street to where the flood zone line is. That's about 125 feet, which is approximately about the extremity of the property, which the wetland flags are actually outside of the property, where it is owned by a Doreen Norman and Margaret Horn, and it's known as Dean Pond. The floodplain maps also show that there's a dam, or it shows elevation 96 dropping down to 91. And right where it has the locus, it says Town of Easton 95.4. I do have, from the research that was done on the property, a plan that was done by Mr. McCann in 1977, registered land surveyor in the Town of Easton, and he shows the dam there. So it makes sense. It reaches a certain level and drops down approximately 4 feet, and that the flood zone there is 95.4, probably at the dam crest. So what I'm trying to say is this: even though I'm on assumed datum and not on NAD 1988, I believe that we are outside of the flood zone. However, even if we weren't, I am not proposing any volume increase in that area of the rear of the building. Let's see, other points. Stockpiling. It makes sense to me, members of the commission, that if a contractor was doing this job, he would have to, there's no room on the site. So he'd have to load his truck, take it off the site because there's really no room to stockpile, and then keep having a menagerie of trucks until such time as he got where he had to fill the hole with sand. Fill in the hole with sand, maybe to the halfway point, then he would continue. So the sand would be dumped into the excavation so that he could then work further, I would say from south to north. And a impervious barrier was put around the site, although it's going to be below the existing pavement, due to the fact that 20 feet is the minimum distance from a foundation wall to a septic system. We're asking the Board of Health for a variance to 13. And as you can see, we're doing the best we can to fit the system into a very small lot, so between 6,000 and 7,000 square feet. And hopefully that we've done that. As far as the wetland medallions, I had some discussion with Andrea before the meeting. Along the erosion control, which is also the edge of the asphalt, it would be my I think it would be best, in my opinion, to put the markers, one approximately at the north property line, to where the E is on erosion control for second one about halfway with about at the end of the T of the word control, and then one at the property line, again, edge of asphalt. I believe that that would be inside the guardrail, which then would show up to somebody. Instead of 2x4 with maybe a sign on it, Andrea had an option of a rebar with a red cap. That makes some sense to me there. But there again, from that perspective, we're more than open to any suggestions by the board. So with that, I'm hoping that I can answer any questions the board may have, and hopefully I have a sound proposal. Thank you.
So, Andrea, can you speak to the dewatering pit in the stockpiling area for us?
Sure. The dewatering pit, I always, suggest is a possibility. I agree with Mr. Koska that it may not be needed here given the elevation change, but he was suggesting behind in that gravel portion of the site, right in there, right? You may want to stay on the other side of the retention. There you go.
Yeah. Yes, I agree, Andrea, because that gravel area is actually off the property.
Yeah, so then it would be over next to the retention basin.
That would be near the retaining wall.
Near the retaining wall. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, nope, my mistake. And then regarding stockpiling, Mr. Koska suggested that he that the contractor live load the excess material, which, since he has to do backfilling with sand, it sounds better than stockpiling on property. I'd recommend you make such a condition.
Okay.
He does have a silt sock in the catch basin on Route 138. In my staff report, I also suggest the contractor should be sweeping daily.
So the one question I have about conservation posts, I'm not a huge fan of the. I mean, in this case, the wetlands are obvious, to be quite honest. I mean, the pond is right there. So unless there's some visual reminder for people not to, no dumping or no work beyond this point from a conservation property, I don't know that putting a red cap on a piece of rebar really helps anybody but us know what's there.
You can put a marker on the red cap.
Okay, I mean that's fine too. I mean, as long as it's something visual that we can deal with. So yeah, as long as there's something visual that people understand what it is. So, anybody have any questions on the commission? Yeah, I don't know where else they put a system on this piece of property.
It's a pretty small piece. That's a real small corner.
It's a very, very small site. I guess the only concern I have, I know it's existing pavement where they're proposing the 1,000 gallon pump chambers, but it looks like those are in the flood zone.
Yeah, it does. It is kind of questionable, isn't it, John?
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if they could refine this map and just confirm the contours are accurate.
He said they were assumed. It's
Right.
not 95. It's not 95 NGVD.
Is there any way we can confirm that? Because I don't want to have to do compensatory flood storage for some pump chambers here.
They're below existing grade, and they're closed systems.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may. something that I saw, we have an exhibit, see the natural heritage and endangered species map. And if that could be put up, there is a new building next door that I believe it is a like a car wash type thing. And if you look at the floodplain map and you look at the natural heritage map, the pavement of the, and I believe that's a fairly new structure there, extends well beyond to in a northerly direction, beyond where, you know, our locus is. So I'm just trying to point out that, and I will testify to this, that the existing grade that is there in the rear of that building does not have to be filled 1 cubic foot. What you see there will be existing grade upon completion. And that can be firmed up by the Board of Health wants a final grading plan on all of the septic systems. And if that needs a certification at that point, and believe me, members of the commission, I'm not trying to, if that's the desire of the commission, that to verify by the floodplain maps contour 96 on NAD 88, which the floodplain maps are, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, get out of anything that the commission may require. So whatever which way the commission goes, I will be more than willing to react accordingly.
Andrea, John, anything?
I mean, if it just requires a little confirmation, I mean, it's got to go somewhere. You know, I understand that, and you know, this is probably the best configuration for this. It's just at the same time, you know, the asphalt there, and you know, if they can provide us documentation that there's going to be no impacts to the BLSF, then I'm good.
I appreciate that. In a bordering land subject to flooding, we want to make sure that there's no additional fill and he's maintaining existing grades.
So do we need the confirmation of the flood zone on the map, on the plans?
We will get the elevation. I think there's an as-built plan that he said we'll have finished grades on it. Maybe those finished grades should be done in NGVD, but.
So do we, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, that site that's next door houses Pilling Engineering. And I'm sure, I believe that they engineered that plan, which I'm sure that they have it on, you know, extending as far as it shows on the natural heritage map, that it is on NAD 88. I will be more than happy to tie into any benchmark system that they have there on NAD 88. Tie into my benchmarks, which are the catch basin, and there's a bound across Washington Street, and do a conversion from NAD 88 to my datum so that we can determine that contour from the floodplain map here, 95, where what contour does it represent on the plan that I have before you. I am not opposed to doing that if that will clarify things. And but like I say, there will be not any change in elevations in the micro topography in that rear area. What is existing there now, the septic tank and pump chamber, scheduled from 92.5 on the inlet of the tank to 92.25, And then the pump chambers 9215 to 9190, and existing grade is about 94.5 there. So the tanks are not scheduled to be, or the risers are to be to grade, but not popping above the existing topography.
So I think it's going to be helpful to confirm that elevation. So
Yeah, whatever the commission desires.
Okay. So, so we'll continue this to the next meeting till we can get that confirmed.
Okay.
Or would you like me to receive a revised plan and
My only concern is there information that could come out of this that would change and alter our decision on this? I mean, I think this is going to get approved. It's just a matter of what conditions they're going to get approved under. So I'd be concerned about approving this project as designed right now, allowing him to give you a revised plan. Normally, if it's just a minor revision to the plan, like if we were to tell him to put on a dewatering pit and that was our only change, I'd say I'd let you administratively handle that. I think there may be some information here that may impact how we condition this, and that would be my only concern. So I think we ought to continue it till next meeting and then be able to issue the permit with all the information necessary. I don't anticipate any problems for the applicant, but better safe than sorry in this case. So I make a motion to continue until 7/27.
I'll second that.
Spady is second.
Yep.
So Caulfield's made the motion. Spady is second. So that's for Tish. Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay, Mike, I appreciate the patience on this and walking us through this. So I do appreciate it.
Yeah, not at all, Mr. Chairman. I thank you and the commission for your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next up is 153 Chestnut Street, which is an ANRAD that's been on our list here. The application remains incomplete, but we've actually had a conversation with the applicant, and they're requesting, for various reasons, and reasonably so, to actually continue this until after the state of emergency. There's some financial considerations here, just making it a challenge at this time. So I think that it makes sense for us to just simply continue this until after the state of emergency. And at that time, we can revisit how to get it back on the agenda to be able to issue this ANRAD. This ANRAD, from as we know, is ready to go. It's just we can't do it because the application is not complete. So anybody have any questions?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Anybody in the attendance have any questions? 153 Chestnut. Only
so
once.
if I could clarify, what you're suggesting is you're continuing to the first meeting after the state of emergency is lifted, at which point you'll decide if it needs to be continued further?
Correct.
Okay.
So make a motion to continue 153 Chestnut to the first meeting after the end of the state of emergency.
Thomas, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay. 9 Prospect Street. We're actually going to continue this one as well. On a site visit I had on Sunday or Saturday, identified a couple of issues that the applicant needs to take care of, and they requested we actually continue this. So make a motion to continue 9 Prospect to July 27th.
Spady, a second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay. 69 Kevin's Way. So this is a certificate of compliance. Andrea?
Yes, it is a certificate of compliance. And I just noticed that I need to go to another file to get my staff comments. This is a septic upgrade by our friends at Collins Engineering. The work has been completed. According to Commissioner Caulfels, the ground is stabilized and there are no continued conditions on the application, on the decision, except for number 42, perpetual condition for any debris in a wetland should be removed.
Anybody have any questions on 69 Kevin's Way? Any public comment on 69 Kevin's Way? Seeing none, make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance noting perpetual condition number 42, no debris in the wetland.
Thomas second.
Caulfels, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
You got one in on you.
I guess so.
26 Summer Street, another certificate of compliance.
Another septic repair. This is a property adjacent, it's on the south side of Summer Street, adjacent to our Metacomet properties. I actually was at this property last fall after the work was done. The order of conditions was issued in January, and the area has been stabilized. I understand from Commissioner Caulfels, the only continued condition is there are no perpetual conditions. This one does not speak to no dumping in the wetlands. So a fully compliant site from my understanding.
Any questions from the commission?
No, it looks good.
Same.
Any public comment on 26 Summer? Seeing none, motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 26 Summer Street.
Spady, a second.
Caulfels, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay, 19 Lullaby Lane. We're going to continue this one as well. This is the one we've had in front of us a couple of times here. The engineer asked us to continue it. Did he give us a date? He did. I just don't remember what it was, Andrea.
He said the next meeting.
Okay.
I don't know that he has anything new to prepare to present, but he did ask for a continuance.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to continue 19 Lullaby Lane to July 27th.
Thomas second.
Nice. Caulfels, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay, so next up is 34 Brentwood Drive. This is this unpermitted dam structure. Just before, I know there's a lot of attendees that are waiting to hear this and maybe speak. So just give us some patience as we go through this project and report from the engineer. So I know we have some new information tonight that we want to share. So we'll go from there. So Andrea, we have to bring in
Attorney Scalia is going to move him up to promote as panelist, and then Scott Rogers is also getting promoted to panelist, and he's got two coming forward. There we go. Okay, thank you. You got the colorized picture there?
Yep. So I don't know which one of you guys wants to speak for the applicant.
I'm just trying. This is Attorney Frank Shaka. I represent the applicant, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your patience on this matter. I know it's been a while. I've studied the history of it. I guess it started with a letter of inquiry in October of 2019. It fermented into an order in January 17th of 2020, asking for some further information regarding permitting or removal of the structure. I know at some point in time, my clients, Brian and Jean McLaughlin's son, Keith McLaughlin, appeared and suggested that the boards would be removed for moving the structure, which is still our position. We'll take, our position is we'll do whatever the board would like. As you know, and as has been represented, these two boards and this structure go back 30, 40 years. To that end, I believe there was a replacement of the two boards at some point in time. But I would hold a little bit in terms of calling it a dam. It's very evident that water pretty freely flows under the boards, through the boards. I don't know if it flows over the boards. I haven't witnessed any of that. With me today, and pursuant to the commission's request, we hired John K.Holmgren, J.K.Holmgren Engineering, to do a study on this and to see whether the dam has any profound effect on the surrounding area. That study was submitted to the board. I think it's been made part of public records, if I'm not mistaken. With me tonight should be Scott Rogers.
I'm here.
Oh,
Hey,
oh,
Scott. Okay. Scott Rogers is from J.K.Holmgren Engineering. He's prepared to walk through the report. Just as a generality, I can tell you based on the report, based on everything I've seen, it is a de minimis effect that this dam plays. I think at this point, what I'll do is I'll open it up to Scott to go through his report for the benefit of the commission and everyone else around.
All right. For the record, my name is Scott Rogers, J.K.Holmgren Engineering. The locus consists of two watersheds, which are located south of Andrews Farm Road, also adjacent to Kingsley Road, west of Brentwood Drive, north of Pheasant Lane, and east of Bay Road. The drainage analysis looked at watershed E1, which is a large watershed to the north, consisting of about 40.6 acres. That large watershed has paved areas, rooftop areas, wooded areas, as well as grass and lawn. The large abutting property to the north has frontage along Randall Street. That runoff generally flows in a southerly and westerly direction and exits that property in the form of a ditch. That also intersects with an existing swale that's shown on B on our plan. And Andrew, there's a second sheet that kind of is a blow up of. There you go. So that's shown as B on the plan. And it should be noted that this existed prior to 1969 and was also shown as an existing brook on record plans for the area. This then flows in a westerly and southerly direction to a 30-inch pipe, which also connects to an existing drainage system in Kingsley Road. That information we received from survey as well as some discussions with town engineering staff. That existing drainage system is shown on C on the map that you're looking at currently. There are three existing catch basins on the western side of Kingsley Road, or the left-hand side of the plan, if you will. Those three catch basins connect to a drain manhole, which is labeled as D on the plan. So in speaking with DPW, with the town, the catch basins in Kingsley Road do receive periodic cleaning. However, some of the pipes within those catch basins were not visible at the time of our survey. And there is some sediment and silt within at least one of those catch basins. as I mentioned before, those 3 catch basins flow into drain manhole D. Drain manhole D is severely impacted with sediment and silt. Matter of fact, there were no pipes visible either entering the drainage manhole structure or exiting the structure. And typically, if you see drain manholes that are filled with sediment and silt, that would indicate that the catch basins at one point or another had failed enough that the sediment and silt exited the catch basins or continued through the drainage system and got into the manhole system. So it may have been that the catch basins were maintained, for the last number of years, but prior to that, maybe they weren't maintained as well as they are currently. And drain manhole D was severely impacted with that sediment and silt. So the note here basically is that the drainage system, specifically this particular area, could benefit from a good cleaning, specifically drain manhole D and those couple of catch basins I had mentioned before. Next, as we flow, the stormwater flows to the south. There's a swale and ditch that flows towards the existing driveway crossing, and that's shown as E on our plan. That's the first kind of blue area, if you will, that runs top of the sheet towards the bottom of the sheet. At the driveway crossing, there are 2 24-inch reinforced concrete pipes that flow under the existing driveway. And that swale, ditch, and those 2 24-inch reinforced concrete pipes were modeled in HydroCAD. So we created a HydroCAD model which analyzed the watersheds, looked at the specific section D here. No, I'm sorry, the section E here I was talking about. Also those drain manholes, or the 24-inch reinforced concrete pipes. We also flow continuously towards the south, towards a small ponding area and structure in question, which is that concrete dam. And that's shown as F on the exhibit that you're looking at. The dam was designed with wooden boards that kind of act as culverts, if you will, 2 8-inch boards. So I want to go through some of the key elevations with you as they relate to what we're talking about here. So the water at the ditch, which is pretty much as it exits 116 Randall, is at elevation 175.8. The invert at the head wall, which brings you to that 30-inch corrugated metal pipe behind 14 Kingsley, is 173.74. It should be noted that the water elevation was measured and it was at elevation 175.3, which, doing the math, is about 1.5 feet underwater. And we are talking about the end of June, July here, and there's a little bit of a dry spell going on. So kind of indicates that, there's water in the system 1.5 feet during a dry spell. So you can kind of take that from there. The water elevation at drain manhole D, that structure was pointed to, is at 175.65. The invert at E, which is the driveway crossing, is 174.4. Those are those 2 24-inch pipes. The invert out is 174.3, the other side of the driveway crossing, which is a tiny bit lower. The elevation of the bottom of the lower board is at 175.5. The bottom of the upper board is at 176.2, and the elevation of the top of the upper board is at 176.9. And just to give you sort of a reference point of what those elevations mean, the ground elevation at drain manhole D and Kingsley Road is approximately at elevation 181. So we looked at the storm events. Typically we look at 4 storm events, the 2, 10, 25, and 100. Just run through some more numbers here. So the 2-year storm is 175.95. 10-year storm 176.36. The 25 is 176.55, and the 100-year storm is at 176.73. So we took the opportunity to look at this particular watershed and this particular structure. We wanted to analyze the effect that would have if we were to remove one or both of those boards on both the upper and the lower watersheds. And kind of, as you can see from those key elevations, that everything does flow downhill from the north towards the south. So the second watershed is the watershed to the south that is shown as E2 on that existing watershed map. Mostly wooded and bordering vegetated wetland areas. There are some areas of houses and driveways, but mostly that is a large wooded wet area. And when you analyze what would happen with the removal of that upper board, because we have a large watershed to the south, E2, and the fact that that particular structure can handle the 100-year storm, the removal of the upper board will result in only 0.026 feet increase, which is negligible. The removal of the second board would result in an additional 0.026. So the net result would be 0.052 feet. And just for reference, 1 inch would be 0.083. So you're talking about roughly a half an inch of additional water. So when you look at that amount, which is negligible, you also have to consider the fact that there's a large watershed to the south where that additional water runoff would be absorbed. And as I had mentioned before, it's a large watershed. There's hundreds of trees, thousands of shrubs, and an herbaceous layer, which will also decrease that minimal increase there. So essentially, therefore, the brook or the ditch system, which is upgrading to the north, would not be impacted by our structure. And the property that fronts on Randall Street historically has contained wetlands and would not be affected by our site. That's sort of a brief, a lot of numbers there, but at this point I can turn it back over to Frank.
So Scott, just one question. I know you referenced the topography of this surrounding area and that the water runs north to south. Does that mean that the area on Country Road is higher in elevation than where the dam is?
That's correct.
That Pheasant Street Lane, which is further down, is lower in elevation to the entire Kingsley Road area. Is that correct?
That's correct as well.
So the entire drainage of the surrounding area flowing north to south and Pheasant Street running east to west flows into Pheasant Street. Am I correct?
Yes.
So is it fair to say that the issues that Pheasant Street is experiencing presently is more as a result, based on your formulations, of the drainage and the topography of the
That's fair to say.
At this point, I'll open it up to the commission, but I think the report also speaks for itself. I mean, 0.05 increase. And I will note, Scott, and correct me if I'm wrong, the dam is approximately 1,000 feet from Pheasant Street. Am I right in saying that?
It's actually longer than that.
Okay. How long would you say?
It's probably about 1,500 or so.
Right. So you're finding that the surrounding vegetation, soil would absorb the additional runoff by removing both boards is based on the fact that it's 1,500 feet away.
Right, and so extremely large watershed to the south.
Right. So at this point, I'll open it up to the commission.
So at first, I appreciate providing us with the details. This gives us something to work with and determining how do we proceed with this particular structure and coming to a conclusion on this. The question that I have is that if I understand it correctly, there's below the dam, is the dam below or above this this break in the stream? There's two branches of this stream. I think it's below.
Right there.
Yeah.
Go to the enlarged picture. There you go. It's actually on the south. It's that drainage line is the driveway, right? because that's halfway between you use the culverts, the culverts under the drive as your point to model, Scott?
That's one of the pieces of the model, correct?
So the question is, does the water flows both ways here, correct?
It does.
It blocks the east, it blocks the western, what looks like the more primary route. It blocks the more primary route so that more water would flow to the eastern or right side tributary.
So what if the boards get pulled here? Is less water going to be moving down the easterly branch of this?
Well, I believe so, but Scott's here.
Yeah, that's true. There's also a pond at the terminus of that right-hand branch.
Right. So will it impact that pond?
It would probably make the pond a little bit better because you're receiving more fresh water into it.
That's a pond that was created as an agricultural pond, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so so is the contention here that whatever increase in flow is more than managed by the entire herbaceous layer in the soils in this existing watershed in E2?
Right. It's a small amount of increase, and because the watershed is so large that you'd see no impacts.
Also to that effect, the removal of the boards or even keeping the boards has probably had no effect on Kingsley either, because Kingsley's a higher elevation than the boards are in the flow of that water. So removal of them or keeping them has no effect on Kingsley. The reality of the situation, unfortunately, is that Pheasant Lane may have been built a little bit too low, given the topography of the surrounding area. I mean, the entire watershed from north to south flows towards Pheasant Lane. And as Scott has indicated, many of the manholes, you can't even see the pipes. And those manholes, and as we know, the catch basins were built many years ago. They may even be outdated. The pipes that cross those streets may be too small. There's obviously debris in the manholes, and so water's not flowing freely through that. And so you have probably the perfect storm with the topography pushing all the drainage south, the manholes probably being somewhat outdated and probably unable to handle the water flow, and it's all flowing to Pheasant, which was probably built a little bit too low, given, from what I understand, of the surrounding area. The fact that people are pointing to this dam, based on everything I've seen, and Scott's here as an expert, makes no sense.
I think that's
literally two boards. It's literally two boards of wood that the water flows through and under. And it's at equal elevations on either side.
So I think that's why we're here, and that's why we asked for the information so that we could be sure that that was the case. I think that there was some contention early on that actually was how that the dam was having a negligible effect. But before we gave authorization to pull the boards, we wanted to make sure that that was actually engineered to be the fact. So the fact that we've got that information today is, I think, significant.
I understand.
Any other questions from members of the commission before we go to the public?
I guess my only one question is, what's the purpose of the pond now? Is it still being used for agricultural purposes?
No.
It is currently.
I'm sorry. In actuality, the pond hasn't been used for some time. It was more for skating for the kids on the property than anything else. Horses haven't been kept there in a while.
Okay,
Yeah, it's pretty thick in there, John.
all right. Okay,
Any other questions, John or Mike?
No, I'm not mad to that.
So I'm gonna go to the public because I know there's gonna be some questions here. So if you just want to raise your hand, we can elevate you to ask a question. The one thing is I am gonna ask that we try and keep our comments to the point and try not repeat information. So anybody want to go first? Anybody have questions? Okay, so seeing no, what's that?
I was just checking to make sure nothing was typed in.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the Q&A box or anybody raise their hands. I'll give it another 20 seconds here for anybody to make a question, and then we can determine what to do.
I unmuted those that I know are here for this purpose. And so if they want to speak, they can just speak up.
So Attorney DeLisi and Aaron Hooker, you're both here. So if you want to speak.
And Mr. Thomas too.
Yeah,
Hi. Yeah, so this is Jeff DeLisi. I was hedging whether I would speak at all. I think that this matter has been, we've been talking about this for a while. We now have scientific data, which we're encouraged about. I guess the one thing that jumped out with the data to me was the discussion about the maintenance of the manholes and the pipes, and I think it would be encouraging if the commission were to seek to encourage. I know it's not your task, but an inquiry into DPW to kind of clean that out, I think probably would make this entire system work, the way it was designed. Right now, there's something, that's causing some issues up gradient, and it's good to see that pulling the boards would have a negligible effect down gradient. So it seems to be a win-win all the way around. I'm not going to take up any more of the commission's time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Thomas or Ms. Hooker? Give you the opportunity. Okay, so they're just here as observers. So my thought is, I think that it's probably, there's a Q&A here, so before I proceed. Would your elevation certificate help determine how to proceed? I assume that it would. If you have additional information you want to provide, I'm happy to take that, Ms. Hooker. So if you want me, you can unmute yourself and give us some sense of what you have. There you go.
Hi, sorry, I was driving home with my son. I do have an elevation certificate, and hearing those numbers, we are so significantly lower. That's making me concerned because obviously, like they said, we're lower and we can't do anything about it. I mean, I'm not going to be rebuilding my house anytime soon. And hearing those numbers and seeing what's happened every time we get one of these floods, I'm a little concerned, but I don't really know what to do, because if you pull the boards and we flood worse, we're in trouble. But if you don't pull the boards, we're still flooding anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just kind of concerned because FEMA is already, they've just changed the elevations as of 2017. And if it gets worse, I'm going to be paying like I live on the Cape.
But not living on the Cape.
Exactly. But my flood insurance is if we are, it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
So is this something that's voted on today? I mean, they have all the numbers, so you're gonna have a decision.
I think that personally, I think we're ready to move on this, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay, thank you. So I think that, so I think from my standpoint, I'm comfortable pulling the boards and just having the structure just go away, and I don't believe it's impacting upstream, and I think the impact from 1,500 feet away. Unfortunately, I think the Pheasant Lane community is in a tough spot simply because they are in a wet spot, and I don't think this is going to make it any worse. I believe the numbers show us that it isn't going to make it any worse. And unfortunately, I believe that that is probably the best route for us to go is to pull the boards. So I'm happy to hear from Mike or John if you have any input.
No, I agree. I thought pulling the boards a while back was a good plan. I think now, obviously, the data showing it's a safe call without any real destruction.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of pulling boards. I think like the applicant said, the pond is not in use for agricultural purposes, so there's no need to have that kind of system in place. So you might as well just remove that system itself.
Okay, so so Andrea, so does this close the enforcement order if we pull the boards?
It would, because the concrete structure that holds the boards in place is pretty well embedded into the stream, and so isn't causing a real impairment in and of itself.
Okay.
So the structure goes away, as you said earlier.
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the landowner to pull the boards from the structure permanently and not reinstall them at any time in the future. That's my motion. Actually, not authorize. We're going to require him to require that the landowner to remove the boards and not reinstall them at any time in the future.
Spady, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
So I think the other thing that we do have to handle here, Andrea, and I know you reached out to DPW, but it does sound like that drainage structures does need some maintenance. So if we could reach out to DPW and get some attention to that system to make it work a little bit better, I think it work as designed. Let's just put it that way. I think we'd all be better off.
I certainly will do that.
And just if feel free to come back to me if that's becoming an issue and we can't figure out how to get DPW.
No, I don't expect it will be, because it's already something that they've acknowledged. It needs to be done, and will be done.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, once by the way, it's Shaka. My last name is Shaka. SCIACCA, just so it's clear on the record. The last thing I wanted to address is I know there's an application pending for Gibraltar Lane. Is that going to move forward now that once we remove the boards and we're in compliance?
That was holding up that application. I don't remember the exact address for that. It was something Bay Road was the technical address.
Yeah, I think they just named it Gibraltar Lane.
So
Our
that
application is called 222 Bay Road.
yeah, so 222 Bay Road, that application can continue to move forward at this time. I know there were some questions that we had at our most recent hearing, which at this point was probably 6 months ago, that needed to be addressed regarding stormwater runoff. I think that we wanted to make sure that all that was taken care of. And so I would have to, personally, I'd have to go back to the last hearing and make sure I understood exactly what we asked to be.
Sure.
So, but that application can move forward, and then we'll be able to take a vote on it. And obviously, the butters would be should keep an eye on the agenda to make sure they know when that comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you for checking. Yeah. Okay. I think so. We're done with 34 Brentwood, and that will get cleared off of our agenda.
Can I ask for notification when the boards are pulled?
Of course, we're going to do it immediately. So I'll make sure that Scott's part of that, and you can report back to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are back to our agenda. Outstanding minutes for June 24th. They were included in your packets. Anybody have any comments? I didn't see anything.
No comments from me. It looked good. Good job.
Same deal.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
No.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Oh, I was getting greedy. I'm dealing with a new puppy and she's making me tired.
So we have a motion to accept the minutes for 6/24 from Thomas, second, Caulfield's second. Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Okay, so there's a chair report item on the agenda. I actually have a couple of things, and I think some of them may actually overlap with some things that Andrea had in her play in her environmental planner updates. The guiding principles are done. They were distributed in the packet. I believe that they're okay, but without Carol here, I just want to hold off on making any decisions about that. So she was under the weather tonight. So normally the first meeting after reappointment of members, we have a board reorg vote, just to either keep the same structure as far as chair, vice chair, and as well as our representative on the Conservation Preservation Committee, Community Preservation Committee. But because Stefan's not here and he's the chair, I'd prefer to wait till a subsequent meeting when Stefan is here, so we can have that whole discussion and do that. Does anybody object to have us waiting another meeting or two?
No objections.
Same.
Okay. Great. So one other thing that came up, and I know Andrea was involved in it over the weekend. There was some graffiti that was done over at the Langwater Conservation Area.
That was terrible.
To both some rocks and trees, as well as there's a bench out there that was the graffiti was obviously in spray paint. Some community members did reach out over the weekend to Andrea and then to me to see if they could get permission to go out there and try and work on the graffiti. They actually went out yesterday. Mike, did you end up going out or no?
I was in an archery competition yesterday, so I couldn't make it out. Yeah.
So they actually went out yesterday. They spent a couple of hours. I think there was about a half a dozen of them yesterday. They spent 2 hours scrubbing the rocks and some of the wood and trying to restore it. They're actually going back out again tomorrow. I think at 5. I'm going to try and spend another couple of hours out there So I'm just letting the commission know that that did happen over the weekend between Andrea and I. We approved that. The people that are doing it are known to the board, so the people that were doing the cleanup are known to the commission. So I felt comfortable with allowing them to go out there and do it safely. The one thing that they've talked about, and I haven't heard about it, is that they may want to bring in a generator and a power washer, because some of it is pretty serious. And I don't know where they pull the water from. I don't know if they want to pull it from Langwater Pond or what. I don't know where else they'd get it from. Anybody have any thoughts about that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't want to use my power washer with anything else like tap water.
Yeah.
God, no.
So, yeah, I wouldn't either.
Bring a 5-gallon jug.
Yeah, I mean, that's an alternative. Get a cart and bring 5-gallon jugs.
Yeah.
Whew. A lot of jugs.
Well, you actually don't. It's not a tremendous amount of water that you're pushing through there. It's the pressure that's doing it. So I just want to let you know that that's going on. And one of the things that are there, and we should probably have a discussion about it, and I really want to have a brief discussion about it, and that is that whether or not we should think about getting a trail camera that we can install in a couple of places. I know that Carol had suggested it at some of the dump spot where over by Friends Crossing, into that right next to the potential vernal pool. In this area, there's been some other troubled spots that may benefit from installing a trail camera for a couple of weeks just to see if we can identify what's going on. It means that someone's got to go out and pull the card out of the trail camera and replace it, make sure that battery's working.
Well, I hunt and I have a bunch of trail cameras and I know how to use them well if you need a guy. There are really good, if the town needs to buy them, there's a few that I use that are really budget friendly from Amazon that I use currently all over the place, and they work incredibly well. Right. So like $50 or $40 around there.
So do we think that's a good investment for us?
How long is the tape? It's motion sensitive, right, Mike?
It is. So they do video, and they do the video recording and then camera shots as well, still shots. And you can vary the time. You can have it take a video for 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 5, or up to over a minute or 2 minutes. It's just how big your SD card was going to be inside of that. Most of them run off AAA batteries, and for instance, I have a budget-friendly one that's had batteries since January in it, and it's still running today, and it's on every single day, and no issues. So they last.
So I mean, they would definitely, if we went out there once every couple of weeks to pull the card, we'd definitely have enough space on an SD card.
Oh God, yeah. I have a 6 gig, and I have thousands of photos on it, and it's fine. And I'm getting about 15 photos every 2 or 3 days, or videos, I should say, and it doesn't really fill it up. So,
right. So I think that's probably something, Andrea, we should probably look into. John, have you had any experience using something like this?
Yeah, we're in the process of getting a bunch ourselves right now. There's a couple hot spots in Sharon that the locals are hanging out at. So
Rattlesnake Hill?
Rattlesnake Hill.
Yeah, I ran into a few people the other day. Devil's
Rock. And there's a couple other spots that I don't want to name on here.
So, Mike, maybe you can just reach out to Andrea so that we can do that. Do we want to? So do we want to authorize a certain amount up to so that Andrea can proceed without us having to meet again to vote on it? So if we make a motion to authorize up to $200 to purchase 2 cameras, we should be plenty well within our budget.
I'm looking at the one I have, and they're $49.95 right now on Amazon. And it's a mini one. It's perfect. I don't see why you would need any more than that. But
if maybe we should ask the folks who are going to be out there tomorrow the different perspectives we would need. Certainly, you know, which areas are they cleaning? Is it the top rock where we saw the broken glass all the time? Is it down by the pond? Is it where the bench is? There could be more than one spot, even though it's a big area. I mean, even though it's a small area, there could be more than one spot. We need to
from the pictures that I saw, the answers to that is yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So $200 getting 4 cameras might.
They get a wide angle too. Keep that in mind. So that helps.
Okay. Can you take a look at the site and give me a sense, Mike, of what you
Yeah.
for camera locations?
Yep.
So why don't we make a motion to authorize $250 for up to $250 for 4 cameras. And if we need more, we can come back. But I think 4 is plenty to start with.
That's a lot. Yeah, cameras plus SD cards and batteries.
Camera plus SD cards and batteries.
So did you make a motion there?
I made a motion to authorize up to $250.
All right, I second it.
Thomas second. So Caulfield's aye.
Spady aye.
Thomas, aye.
I will also reach out to the police and see if they have any advice on the topic. Great.
The other question, you heard me allude to it earlier in the meeting, is we have our next meeting is in 2 weeks on July 27th scheduled. We currently have no new applications for that meeting. So we're all just working on continuing applications that come onto us. The one big application that we still have in front of us is, well, there's a couple of them, but one big one, but is Sawmill Village. And so Sawmill isn't going to be prepared for July 27th, but it is possible that they'd be prepared for August 3rd. And also Stefan may be able to make August 3rd. He cannot make July 27th. So I have no commitment from Stefan for August 3rd, but there's a much higher likelihood that August 3rd works. So the question is, can we move the 27th to the 3rd? Does anybody have any conflicts with that date? I had actually checked with Carol prior to the meeting, and she was okay with moving it. I'm okay with moving it.
I just looked. I'm good.
I'm good as well.
So I make a motion to move our. Oh, hang on. Before I do that, did we check to see if we had any Zoom conflicts?
Zoom is available.
Okay. So I make a motion to move our July 27th meeting to August 3rd, 2020.
Thomas, second.
Caulfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
Thomas, aye.
And I think that the one last thing, Andrea, and maybe this is how you can kick off your environmental planner update for me, maybe is just, can you tell us how the water department request to put that monitoring device on next to Wheaton Farm Barn, how that ended up?
What a great segue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's on my list.
I'm sure it is.
So the water department needed this treatment facility to go online before the well could go online, and you all know the well water is needed. So Stefan spoke with the water department operator offline, and taking your advice at the meeting, your guidance at the meeting, he approved the installation of the foundation and the treatment plant as proposed, with the understanding that it can be installed, with the understanding that the water department is going to come back to the commission for review and approval of fencing or some other visual barrier. He was thinking a L-shaped fence for 2 sides. That they really balked at a wooden enclosure shed-like structure, but fencing or similar visual barrier they can propose.
It sounded like a very reasonable compromise. So you know, we're really just looking for a visual thing here, so. Okay, that sounds good.
Yep, then just as kind of a FYI, drought season has been declared in the state, but not in Easton or in southeastern Mass. Triple E monitoring has begun, and the first Triple E positive mosquito was found in Orange, Massachusetts, nowhere near us. But
Really?
Yep, but
I was just camping there this Tuesday.
bring your D.
Great.
There is, I can give you the hyperlink for the map that gets updated every week for Triple E threat and for West Nile virus threat. Right now, Easton and Southeast Mass is remote or low risk. Trout season we just spoke of. Tish, you heard us say Tish is our planning planning clerk, and she's been wonderful getting our decisions out from our last meeting. So it looks like it's going to be it looks like we have not had to go at all. We will not be going at all without technical support. That's good technical support. So that's the only
welcome
other.
back, Tish. So welcome back. So been a couple of years since we saw you, but.
And you'll see her again. So, town hall isn't opening anytime soon, but there may be a slow reopening plan coming out shortly. A question?
Oh, thank you. Glad to be back, she says.
There you go. That's it for me.
By the way, Andrew, I just sent you a link for the camera just so you have it.
Okay. Do you want me to send you the link? On here, I can, maybe I can take this. Do you want to know that risk, the Triple E map?
Yeah, please. Because I got bit by a lot of them, so I feel fine though. We're good.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, have my tick panel right now. How do I send this to you through Zoom? I actually have my tick panel being analyzed as we speak.
Yeah, my dad actually just got diagnosed with Lyme disease today too. So
yeah,
careful.
Yeah, let's all knock on wood for that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I've been there once. Don't want to go back.
Not
So,
fun.
anybody else have any comments they want to include that we didn't talk about already? So I appreciate everyone's input and for accommodating the late start tonight. So we did good work tonight, got a lot done. So I appreciate it. So we will see you all on August 3rd. We can just make sure that we update the calendar and get that information out to the public as well. So.
Cool.
Did I hear a motion to adjourn?
John Thomas, motion to adjourn. Second, Hallfeld, second.
Spit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm jumping the gun all over the place tonight.
Hallfeld's aye.
Beatty, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Very good. And there we are. We're done.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one,
Thank you
guys.
very much. Bye-bye.
Night.